So, welcome back to the Verity Podcast. This is a special edition, special treat for everyone today. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Jeralyn, and we're going to talk about one of the things that has probably been the most popular for us on our website. The thing that's got the most traction has been some of her poems. And we're going to let her talk about that and kind of tell us the story behind those. So, take it away.
Okay. First off, I was going to say a little bit about me. One thing about me, if anybody that knows me, is I don't think I've ever met another human being who loves babies the way that I do. And the first time I held a baby, I was 5 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was my little cousin Colby, and I begged to hold him to my aunt. And my mother was like, no, you're too young, you can't do that. And my aunt was like, oh, no big deal. And she had me sit down, and she put a pillow on my lap and then laid that baby in front of me. And it was, from then on, it was just love. Because I remember he was asleep, but he woke up pretty quick after she laid him in my lap. And I was like, okay, it was just a cute little baby doll. But then he opened his eyes and he looked up at me, and I was like, oh, wow. He's alive. It's a little bitty human, and it was kind of like a puppy, but it was better. And I just will never forget that feeling of when I held him, a baby, for the first time. And I've always loved babies and young children. And as a very young girl, I started working in the nursery. And then I started being a nursery worker. And I've been a member at 10 churches in my life. And at 9 of them, I was a teacher, director, nursery worker. Just anything around the nursery and teaching the babies. It was huge. And in the last church, I was just about to start teaching the babies when 2020 happened, when the COVID happened. So everything shut down. So I never got a chance to. But I have always been involved with babies, and I babysat hundreds of children. Babies have always been very, very special to me. Just hugely special to me. And I wasn't a babysitter that sat on the couch eating potato chips, watching TV. I did things with these kids. I would just sit there and just watch them breathe. They were just very, very special to me. And babies do not last very long, so you really have to sit and watch them. And it's just very precious. And the day that I wrote The Flight of the Unborn, I will never forget, because it was just such an experience for me, because all of my poems I feel the Spirit gives me. And to be his instrument is very, very, very special to me. And it's just a feeling like I've never had before. And I found myself at home that day, and I was alone, which I'm not usually at home alone very, very much. And I was outside praying, and it was a lot of turmoil was going through my heart at that time. Some things I was going through, but also other people in our life were going through. We had some very dear friends that their marriage was ending, and I had another friend who, she was a baby that I babysat for. But she was also in one of my classes, baby classes at church, so she was mine. And but she was all grown up, and she was married, and she had had fertility issues, and she was so excited wanting to be a mama, and just never did happen. And I was always praying for her. And then when she finally did get pregnant, it was so exciting. But then shortly after her baby was born, she passed away. And the baby passed away. And it from just a horrible disease. It was just out of the blue, and it was just a very, very hard time. And I was just grieving for her because I feel like she's my baby. She was, and I just was just grieving really hard for her. And it was just hard for me thinking of her wanting this young woman, such a precious young woman, and she was wanting this little baby so bad. And then I thought about all the women when they are given this huge gift and they just throw it away because of the horrible circumstance surrounding them in their life. And it just was really a battle going on within me. And I thought, I don't know what could I do to help these women who are making that horrible decision. And it was just a grieving and a battle going on inside of me. And whenever something like that's going on with me, I write, no matter what it is, happy, sad, whatever. And I just kept thinking on what would make you come to a decision to end your pregnancy, to end the most precious gift that God has given you. And all of these things just bubbled up. They were bundled up in me, along with my already extreme love for these precious babies. And it came out in me writing this poem. And it was very quick, but it was just, and after I wrote it, it was like I reread it, and I was like, I just wrote that, and I'm just like, just kept going back to it. And I was like, okay, I didn't know how or when or how it would come about, but I prayed so hard that this poem would get into the hands of young women who are looking for clarity, who don't know where to go or have anybody to look to, or they're feeling pressured by family or friends or whoever to just have it taken care of. And I just prayed so hard that it would end up in their hands someday, and I did not know how it would. Just prayed that it would, and that they would choose to have their babies. And pregnancy can be very scary. I mean, in the best of circumstances, when you find out you're pregnant, it can be a very scary thing, even if you're in a good marriage. I remember seeing those 2 pink lines or blue lines or whatever they are now. It's very scary because you're like, okay, there's this human being that's going to be growing inside my body. And that's very scary because you're like, okay, everything you eat, your emotions, the baby is affected by you in so many ways, and it's kind of scary. And then you think about the going through, childbirth and delivery. And then after that can be very scary too, because you're like, oh my goodness, all the pain, and I can't do all. And then you go through and think about, then you look down at this little human being, and now I've got to raise them, got to take care of them. I'm responsible for them. It is a huge, huge responsibility, and it's very scary, and it's not easy. But in life, the path to the greatest joys is not easy. And I'll tell you that my pregnancies were not easy. I was been pregnant twice, and I was very, very blessed with our 2 boys. But it was really, really tough, the pregnancy part of it. And the delivery was, nothing turned out like we were planning for it to happen. But after you are holding that baby and you look down and they look up at you, there's just nothing, I can't even describe it. And especially when they're just a little bit older and they smile at you, it is just all worth it. And nothing, all the hardships and all the hard times and all the hard that you go through to get that child here is worth it. And and you also have to remember that there is always hope. You do not have to do this alone. You don't have to walk any part of this road alone. Jesus is with you the entire way, and he loves you, and he loves your baby, and he wants your baby to have a chance to be in this world too, because that's why God created them. We didn't create the babies. God did. And with that, I'm going to read the Flight of the Unborn poem. And I'm going to really try not to cry. I really lose it whenever I think of this. These poems are so special to me. The Flight of the Unborn. Straight to his arms, your flight they decided to be. Your pain, your agony, they didn't care or couldn't see. Easier to think of you as flawed or broken, never hearing your cries before a word was spoken. Such a priceless gift, yet they made the choice to steal. Better for them to see you as not even real. The blessing of time from you they chose to take. A beginning with you they never wanted to make. The enemy has their hearts in his hand so tight. Veiled, they don't even know that they cannot see his light. Existing in the darkness, choked by hate and shame, in fear they extinguish any hope from his flames. They made to unravel together what he had knit. No courage to even try. They just simply quit. Have they not heard of his amazing love? His sweetest peace showered from above. His miracles are all around. Do they not see? When everything falls apart, in Jesus we can be free. He hears us when we cry out. Run to his embrace. He will strengthen your heart by his grace. In the dark of night, when you close your eyes, do you dream of a sweet faceless one, wondering if you could have tried? Surrendering to the shadows, the ones which made you just give in. Know that you can turn around again. Courage to cross that empty space to begin. Jesus is so amazing. His love is so pure. His forgiveness so healing. Our trust in him secure. He holds these precious tiny ones, knows them each by heart. They are safely in his arms, never to be apart. And this is for all these precious ones on a flight that he never intended for them to make.
That's just really, really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that with everyone. I know it's not easy in sharing your story, and I know that's a really, really hard thing. So one of the reasons we wanted to share this poem is because we know that from our media partners and our social media folks have told us that this poem kind of went through a lot of back channels, but it kind of went viral through a lot of Christian forums. And we've had at least, multiple people that have reached back to us and told us that this poem has touched their heart in such a way that they they did the prayer that you prayed of that this would get into the hands of the people who were in this place, who were trying to make this decision, that actually did happen, that prayer was answered. And God, praise God, that there were multiple women who have chosen, because of the way that this has touched them, and that they chose to keep their child. And that's just such a, you can't put a price tag on that. You can't, there's nothing that we're doing, nothing that we have done, or nothing we will do that can exceed that. That is just such an amazing thing in my mind. If we never did another thing, what you've done here is just so amazing to me. But I know that the story didn't end there, so I know that one of our media partners had actually contacted you with one of the young ladies who told us that she had made this decision, and that conversation that you got to have with her really touched you in a powerful way. And I think that you want to tell us a little bit more about that, I guess.
Well, that is very, very powerful to me. That even I was just praying that one baby would be saved, but now I'm thinking that all these babies are going to be born soon, if not already, from then. And that is just, and I think of them often, and I pray for them every day, and I call them my flight babies. And I pray for their mommies too, of course. And the ones that I know of, I pray for them by name, the ones that I have their names. And they're very, very special young ladies. And maybe someday I'll get to meet them in person. That would be really cool. But and the circumstances in their life is not great. It's pretty bad, and I'm sure it's not easy and hard, but their child is going to have a chance at life. And that is very huge to me. And of course, after this was like September when we started finding out about all the poem went viral and everything. And in July, I suffered I've already talked about it in an earlier podcast, but so I won't go into it now, but I was in a horrible accident. And so I was in a lot of pain, and I was pretty much out of commission. It was just pain, pain, pain. That's all I knew. But then that's when I heard about all of this, and I was just like, oh, wow, pain, you can just leave me alone for a minute. And just, it was just such a blessing to hear about this. And I was already writing crazy amount, but those poems were all about pain. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is such a wonderful thing. This is so exciting to me that these little humans are going to be in the world now. And I was very proud of the mothers for having the courage and standing out, being brave, which is a huge thing when you say, okay, this may not be easy. It's not going to be easy, but I don't know what I'm going to do. But as the thing around our house right now, the biggest saying is the Mission Impossible saying that I think they should make this on t-shirts, because I love the saying is, we'll figure it out. And so these young ladies are saying, we'll figure it out. We're going to keep, we're going to have our baby. And anything after that, you do figure it out as you go along. And but he gave me another poem, just that I wasn't really planning to write. But this one was so fast, I could barely write it down fast enough. And it's a happier poem. And on the website we have it, and I wanted a picture of a happy baby. And so of course I chose my oldest son, because he, as a baby, he just looked like he was drunk all the time. He was so happy. And but it was Dance Baby Dance. And this poem is I wrote for all of the flight mummies, all the women who read the poem. And if maybe women, I also heard of some reading, and the third poem I'm going to read today in a minute, but that they didn't read the first two. They read the third one, and then it got them back there, and they were like, oh, wow, but they decided to have their baby, too. So this is I just wrote this for all of the women who have decided to have their babies and to encourage. And this one he gave to me so fast. But this one was written when I was on the recliner, and I was in pain, a lot of pain. And I couldn't type or anything then.
Had to help you type it up, I think, yeah.
And it was during the very hard time for me. But I was in pain, but it was just it brought a smile to my face. And so this is what came out of that time. And this is Dance, Baby, Dance. Closing my eyes in utter disbelief, it will not be okay again. I can never find relief. So uncertain, just shattered, what do I do? So many questions, the answers I haven't a clue. The shadows are choking me, my heart doesn't even want to beat. In an instant, everything changed, unending, flowing tears of deceit. In the silence, I hear a voice whispering, you're not alone, I'm here. Chains holding me melt away, fading away with my fears. There doesn't have to be a goodbye. Jesus heard my faintest cry. If we'd never met, I'd be full of regret. So, dear baby, I'm going to try. Wondering if I'll let you down, leaving the darkness behind, gathering my strength and courage as dreams of you start to fill my mind. To say goodbye would break my heart, a deep scar that will never heal. This precious gift of life, inside of me, I can almost feel. Seeing your first smile, the joy of watching you grow. Hearing your first laugh, stomping your foot and telling me no. A hard time turned into amazing love. Baby, you're healing my heart. My blessed love in my womb, a new life I'm ready to start. As we greet the dawn together, there is always hope and grace. My tears flowing are happy now, dreaming of seeing your precious face. Jesus' love is now alive in me, giving you a chance. You're safe inside me now, so dance, baby, dance.
Yeah, just really, really powerful. And I love the way that you go into, acknowledging the heart, acknowledging that it's not always going to be easy, but honoring the choice.
Yeah. And every time after I wrote that, I cried for days because I couldn't, it was just, and I was wanting that to get in everybody's hands too, because I don't know how the internet works. I don't understand how, if I post it, see anybody sees it and you have to have people liking it for it to get out there and all. I don't understand all that. But I just pray that and trust that it gets where it needs to be. And after we finally get a publisher, then it will be in print, and then it can just go out, to whoever it needs to be given to. That's really, really what I'm really looking forward to. Oh. And after Dance, Baby Dance, trying to think October. It was probably not too soon after that. that I was praying for the flight mommies and their babies, and I was just thinking of the ones I know of that are, planning to keep their babies and have their babies. And maybe some of them placed for adoption. But the other horrible choice is gone. That's the good thing. And I was just thinking about the young women there, because there's millions. I don't know the statistics and all that, but who have already made that decision. And they can't come back from that. And that grieves me too, thinking of all those young women, because there's more of them than that are planning to, to have their babies. And so I was really started thinking about those young women, and I can't even begin to imagine. And I knew when I was in college, there was a few girls I knew that's the decision that they had made. And I also know that of course I was very saddened and shocked then, but that is a wound that does not heal. It does not heal. And these young women, maybe they made this decision because of pressure from family, or because they didn't want people to know that they were pregnant, that they were having sex, or I don't know what their motivations were, but they didn't want it to get out, or maybe some just weren't even really thinking, and Satan just deceives so huge like that. Oh my goodness, he just is such a deceiver, and he's really out to kill and destroy us, and that's his delight, which is really sick to me, but he is just out to get us, and he is real. And I feel that these women personally that I know, these are sweet young women, and every single one of them regrets that decision, and it's something that is core of their being, that there's no way they can take that back. And I know that it is wild to me. They forget the word forgiveness. He forgives us. And but I think it's even harder for us to forgive ourselves for things that we do, because when he forgives it, he forgets it. It's like, okay, that's, you're forgiven. I'm not going to remember that. But it's always turning around and around and around inside. The things that we've done, that we, and we're forgiven, but we keep taking it back and taking it back. But it is a really, really hard road to walk, to be on, having done something and then you can't take it back. And this is something that's pretty hard, a regret that I can't even imagine. That would be horrible. But I wanted to give the women that have this regret in their life, that have already gone down this road, and that they feel maybe they never feel that they have. A lot of these women, I think, it's caused them to have a division, and they don't have anything. They don't go to church anymore. They don't have a relationship with Jesus anymore, because they're like, Jesus is not going to want me. I'm damaged goods now forever. He's not going to want me after what I did. And that is so not true. That is, I just want those young women to know that Jesus, he not only forgives you, but he loves you so much that he wants you to know that he wants you to feel whole again. He doesn't want you this one thing in your life to keep you separated from him, because sin is what separates us from him. And he does not want to be separated from us. He wants you to know that that forgiveness is it is possible, and that your hurting heart can heal. I can only with Jesus could you heal something, you know. But he wants all of these women to know that. And some of these have gone on to have children afterwards, and some of them have not, that I know of. And I was like, okay, I want to write a poem for those women. And I'm like, I have no idea where to start, what to do. So I prayed about it. And it was very, very, very hard, because most of my poems come to me, and I don't try to write them. They just come to me, and I can barely write them down fast enough. But this one I wanted to write, and I wasn't sure that I could do it, because I get into the emotions of it, and it just broke me to write this poem. And it was probably 3 days. It was hard, and I could not stop crying, and it was just because I had to put myself in the position of these young women in order to feel every emotion that they were possibly feeling at the time. And so I just one day, out of the blue, he gave it to me, and I wrote My Shining Little Star. And this one is for probably for more women, because it's going to touch more of them, because more make the decision to end their pregnancies than the other. But and this one was for them. And it was so hard to write this. Very hard. And I haven't read it very much since then, because it was so. But I really pray that young women that have already made the decision, and they're like filled with regret, that they could read this, and it will give them some closure and help them to return to Jesus, to let them know that he is right there, and he wants them to not let this one decision separate them, that there is healing, that they can also comfort other women in the same situation, and they could be counselors for it's just their role could be endless, and helping other young women as well. And so I will read this now. My Shining Little Star. A mistake takes only a minute, but it can for a lifetime last. Over this choice, such anguish, it will never be in my past. Not following your path, going on my own, I find myself in this awful place, having no remission for myself. All of the deceit in my heart I can trace. Letting you go destroyed me, for I took your innocent life. This battle which rages inside of me fills me with such anger and strife. At this brutal way I chose that I let you die. My very heart and soul bleeds, and for you I will always cry. How can I go on, knowing what I did? This ugly stain upon my soul could never, ever be hid. Distance and time doesn't weaken this huge, heavy weight of regret. My future filled with torment, as I can only cry and fret. I can never go back, can never undo. I will never kiss your tiny face. Yet in my heart forever, you will always have a place. Jesus fills me with his mercy, his forgiveness bursting through my sorrow. His love is forever healing, his shame growing dim as I face tomorrow. Safely in Jesus' arms, my baby's cries fade. Perfect forever and always, in heaven's waters you wade. Loving you compels me forward. I can smile knowing where you are. Love is strength, love is strong. You will always be my precious shining little star. And my prayer for that is for those women, that they can always think of their baby and look forward, because their baby's in heaven waiting for them, and they will get to see their baby, all of them.
Yeah, it's really easy sometimes for us to think of judgment and shame and whatnot on people who have made that choice, and it but we know that, I mean, that forgiveness is possible, that, you know, you can come back from that. And then, you know, as I've said many times, God created every life. He created us for the one, you know, people always ask, why am I here? The reason you're here is because God created you so that he could love you. And that includes people who have made this choice, people, no matter what you've done, you know, he still loves you. He created you to love you. He's not going to ever stop loving you. And forgiveness is possible. And redemption is definitely possible. That's what the cross was all about. And, you know, there's nothing that you can do that can, you know, negate that sacrifice that he made for you. So, yeah. Wow. So, yeah, did you have any other closing thoughts? Or?
No, just that my prayer for these is that the women who read, and the young men, because young men have read these too, that I just pray that that they will seek Jesus, not the opinion of men. They will seek and stay close to him, and that you are strong, and that you are brave, and that you can do it. You can make the right choice, and you can have your baby. And if you feel led to, because there's we have a lot of friends that have adopted babies that have wonderful, and I don't even think of them as being adopted. They're just their children. And if that's a route that you would want to take, but just stay close to Jesus, and because he's the strength. He's the only one that can give you the strength. Another person can't give you the strength like he can give you. And we are praying for you. I'm praying for you and your babies.
So again, thank you for joining us on the Verity Podcast, and we'll call that a wrap. And God bless you. Thank you.